Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. Want to thank our partners first. You know them, you love them. Say them with me. Walther Firearms produces many competition-appropriate handguns, and you need to know that every single one of them, including the PDP, comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if there's something wrong with you, because there won't be anything wrong with the firearm, but if there's something wrong with you and you and the Walther are not getting along, they will give you your money back with no questions asked. Well, they might ask you a question. They probably won't. The question I'll ask is, what's wrong with you? But seriously, it is a 30-day money-back guarantee, the industry's only 30-day money-back guarantee that I am aware of. And of course, Targets USA manufactures the finest steel targetry you can get on the planet. It is portable, it is affordable, it is the best. CR Speed makes the finest gun handling gadgetry you can wrap around your waist or anywhere else. Hunter's HD Gold is the only eyewear that I wear, and the AMG-Lab.com Commanderson timer continues to turn heads by putting the time into the tablet. ShootingSportsInnovations.com is a lot to type because there's a lot to see. And of course, OutdoorDynamics.net remanufactures the finest competition ammunition you can dispense from a Freedom Seed dispenser. Let me make sure I got them all. Targets USA, check. CR Speed, check. Hunter's HD Gold, check. AMD-Lab, blah, 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 blah. AMG-Lab.com Commanderson timer, check. OutdoorDynamics.net, check. ShootingSportsInnovations.com, check. And of course, Walther Firearms, the title sponsor of today's program and every other program for the foreseeable future. All right, let's do the news. You can always go to andersonshooting.com and click on upcoming classes to see where we're at and what we're going to be doing. We're going to be in Salem, New Jersey, September 8, 9, and 10 for a class match, class sandwich. That is my very favorite format to do. Absolute favorite. Class on probably Friday, September the 8th. Class on Friday, match on Saturday, class on Sunday. It is the ultimate Anderson shooting experience. Deerfield, Massachusetts, August 4 and 5. Bluegrass League, because Bluegrass Sportsman's League, I think. Bluegrass, Kentucky, September 25 and 24, and 17 South in Georgia, October 27 and 29. Still some time to get on the calendar for this year. If you want to do a class, you just let me know where you're at and where you want to do, and we will make it happen. Class sponsor always gets a free class, and all you got to do for that is arrange the range. You don't got to pay the range fees necessarily. You just have to make contact with the range owner and or management and get us in there. Going to be in South Africa the second half of August. You can contact Shanae for more information about that, and we'll probably repost that here very shortly. And we're doing mental management July 19 through 21 at 9 a.m. on the Zoom, and July 31st through August 2nd at 5 p.m. And you can go to andersonshooting.com and click on upcoming classes to always see where we're at and what we're going to be doing. And you can also come to our home range here in beautiful Newark, Ohio, in the shadow of the world-famous Longaberger Basket Office Building, and spend the day with me on our range, getting everything you need to reach your potential, because that's what we do here. What we do here is we will show you how to save years of struggle in your competition career. It's that simple. It doesn't have to take 5 years to figure this stuff out. It doesn't have to take 10 years to figure this stuff out. You can do it very, very quickly. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Joey Sauerland. Joey just won Area 7. I believe he's undefeated for area matches this year. Pretty sure that's the case. It was a real nail-biter. I was out waxing the truck on Sunday afternoon watching those results come in, refresh and practice score to the extent that I injured my finger almost, and he squeaked it out by, I believe, something around 1 match point. So if you want to get good, get fast, get quick, and have all this happen in a very short amount of time, you just let me know when you're ready, and we will put you on the path as we have for so many people. All right, so what I want to talk about today is 13 mental mistakes and their solutions. The mental game is at least 33% of your shooting. And that would be the absolute lowest number for pretty much a beginner. And the percentage of your game that is mental rises with your classification and your skill. So the better you are, the more important the mental game is. And if you're disrespecting this stuff, you are doing so at your peril. If you're making mistakes, mental mistakes, you don't have to do that. We can correct that. Mental management is the single best investment you could ever make in your shooting. Understanding how the mind works, learning to control your thoughts, learning what the 3 mental processes are, how to control them, how to maximize them so that you get what you want when you go to the line. It's that simple. So, and by the way, if you're interested in doing mental management online and you don't see a class scheduled to your liking, just shoot me an email. Tell me when you're available. We need 3 2-hour windows. And it'd be best if you could say, hey, I'm available Thursdays at 4. I'm available here. I'm available there. We could do a quick phone call to get that scheduled. We got to get this done for you guys if you're continuing making mental mistakes. It doesn't have to be that way. We can fix all this stuff. Everybody who's ever taken the class says, man, I wish I would have done that 10 years ago. Well, don't wait 10 years. Get it done now. All right, the number one biggest mental mistake that I think most shooters are making is negative imprints during training. And what this means is, as you're working on a skill, your thoughts and feelings about your training are just as important as the training you are doing, if not more so. For example, let's say you've identified an opportunity in your one-handed shooting. You're going to go out and practice strong hand only. The thoughts and feelings you have about the improvement of that skill are just as important as the practice that you're doing. If you go out there and say, see, I suck at strong hand shooting. See, I still suck at strong hand shooting. See, I'm terrible at strong-handed shooting. This is going to be the thought that shows up when you get to the match. Your association of the state of your skills will be the performance of those skills. If you suck at steel, yep, here comes some steel. I'm going to struggle. However, I'm great at hoser stages. That will be the guy that shows up. All you have to do is make sure that you imprint at the very least that the skills you're working on are improving. Hey, this is going pretty good. I'm getting better at this part of my game. I'm seeing an improvement. It's all you need to see is improvement. You don't need to see perfection. You're not going to get perfection on one day of working on something. But if you don't have an association of improvement with those skills, your disappointment in that will show up at the match when those skills are needed. That is what's going to happen. If you just take a minute and think about the things that you're great at, the things you know you're great at, those things go pretty well. The kind of stages you like, the kind of stages you believe you're good at, those go pretty well. The things you don't like, the things that you struggle with, the things that you expect to struggle with is going to continue to be a problem until you fix it technically and, more important, mentally. Your association, your mental association of these skills will be their performance when the timer goes off. Well, you telling me I can just sit here and think about that and get out and how? Well, I'm not real sure what the end of that question was or that statement. Some kind of ZZ Top song, maybe. How. Well, I'm going to tell you how this stuff works. If you see yourself as a crappy shooter with regard to X, you will always perform that way. But if you do the work, you improve the skills, and your imprint to your self-image, your association with these skills improves, your performance at these skills will improve. I spoke to a guy yesterday who's doing the mental management class starting tomorrow, and he said, what's interesting is I used to be not a very good steel shooter, so I went out and bought some steel, and I trained that exclusively, and now every time I see steel, it gives me massive amounts of confidence because I know I'm great at it. My response to that is, okay, we need to go through everything sport requires and make sure you have the exact same association. That's it. So that anything your sport requires, you look forward to it, you know you're great at it, and you know you're going to do well. It's as simple as that. Now, when you're working on a new or improved skill, you got a choice to make. The Filipino kickout's the best example. And the Filipino kickout, let's just call that the drop step. Okay, the sweet, sweet, sweet Filipino kick out. If you're working on that and you get good at it, you can do one of two things. You can consciously do it. You can think about doing it. You can do, oh, we got a dog locked in the bathroom. Stand by 1 second. You'll have to hit your own pause button because we're live. 10 seconds. It's not really Gracie's fault. She's under the influence of potentially narcotics. Poor Gracie the Doberman spent most of the day at the vet yesterday. She got up with a really bad limp, and we had to take her to the vet. You might know that she's has or had Lyme disease, which can cause limping. So we took that little puppy to the vet. She got a clean bill of health and some meds for a soft tissue injury. Now you can hear her drinking water. Yes, that's a 87-pound Doberman drinking water. Just riveting podcast material. If this is your first podcast with AndersonShooting.com, you'll come to like the dog noise, or you'll just stop listening. That's a considerable amount of drinking. Yep. Da da da, and the dog's drinking water. Riveting podcast fodder. Could the topic get much hotter? Doberman is still drinking water. All right, so when you work on a new skill, you got a choice to make. You can either consciously perform the skill, look for places to do it. This will cause the overall state of your shooting to suffer a little bit. If you're working on movement and you're really thinking about keeping your body low, or you're really thinking about keeping the gun high or something along those lines, you'll probably do those things, but the actual shooting might suffer a little bit while you're actively thinking about technical stuff. The other thing you can do is continue to do the reps in training and wait for these new skills to show up in competition. This will have less of a short-term effect on your shooting. You'll probably shoot better than you would if you were consciously thinking about the technique, but the new and improved technique will take longer to show up. I'm not going to tell you which one to do because it won't be the same answer for everybody, but you've got to understand that anything you think about will cause everything else to go into the subconscious. So if you're thinking about keeping your body low, or you're thinking about keeping the gun high, or you're thinking about something technical, everything else will happen subconsciously. Stage plan, visual patience, acceptable sight picture, shot calling. If those things are all dependable and reliable, meaning if you've got 100% subconscious stage plan and you don't have a visual patience issue of any kind, and that gun never goes off with that acceptable sight picture, you could potentially think about something technical with less of an effect on your shooting. But you've got to understand that anytime you think about something technical, you're giving up control. Well, you're giving control of literally everything else to the subconscious. So if the stage plan is not subconscious, if visual patience is not subconscious, if these things are not normal, then they probably won't happen while you're thinking about technique. Okay? All right. So, and a super strong match mode will improve both of those situations. Meaning if you're really good at analyze, strategize, memorize, visualize, and then doing something to shoot at the speed of sight, thinking about technical things will hurt you less than if those things aren't strong. Okay? Number 3, a very common mistake is disrespecting small, short stages. Classifiers, anyone? You know, a little 7-round classifier, a little 8 or 9 round speed shoot. Don't really like that term, but they still call them that. And the ROs will frequently participate in disrespecting your preparation, particularly at the local level. You'll get to that little stage, I'll be like, all right, you guys have seen it, let's rock and roll. And the closer it is to 2 or 3 o'clock, and the hotter it is, the shorter the walkthrough is going to be. You still need double-digit reps of your stage plan on the smallest stage. You still need double-digit reps of your stage plan, even on the smallest stage. And here's the deal. You don't even consider the possibility of doing something different, right? Those of you that have gone through mental management, you know that the point of anticipation, what we think about prior to shooting, is 100% strategy with confidence. It's as simple as that. If you're thinking about anything other than stage plan between arriving at the stage and being called to the line, you're overthinking or underthinking, you're disrespecting the mental process. It's as simple as that. Right? The time prior to shooting between arriving at the stage and the timer going off is 100% strategy with confidence, 100% conscious strategy. If you're thinking about anything else, you're overthinking or underthinking. If you're worried about another competitor, if you're looking at somebody else's stage plan, if you're irritated by the weather, if you're complaining about the heat or how tired you are disrespecting the process that's going to give you good shooting. It's as simple as that. All right, number 4 is very similar, and this would be walking stages without all of the info. Whenever I go to matches with people and I see them walking the stage without looking at the written stage briefing, without knowing the start position, without knowing the round count, I worry. Because any incorrect repetitions of a stage plan are going to need to be overwritten or will linger around and cause brain farts. Let's say you think the start position is here and you walk the stage 6 times and you find out the start position's over there. Or you find out it's an unloaded start and you haven't practiced any of those things. Well, you've got 6 reps of doing it wrong. So that means you're going to need 6 reps of doing it right just to get back to 0. And then another double digit reps of getting it right correctly to make that be your plan. So do not start walking the stages until you have all the info. Okay? Number 5, insufficient reps of stage plan. You need some number of identical repetitions, I believe, in the double digits. And you must control your confidence level as you're getting these reps. Those of you that have done mental management, think about your performance model. Every repetition moves something from the conscious to the subconscious and sends an imprint to self-image, every repetition. So if your repetition is, these targets look tricky, I'm not very good at these kind of movers, guess what's getting ready to happen? Or if your repetitions contain an imprint that says, hey, I'm great at everything this stage requires, this is going to go great. I'm good at all this stuff. That confidence will give you access to subconscious skill. You only get as much access to subconscious skill as you have confidence. Write that down. I mean, you'll have the show prep. You insiders will have the show prep. But you've got to understand that confidence is what allows access to subconscious skill. Confidence comes from self-image, and that comes from imprints. And we'll come back to that here in a minute. Now, on the subject of memory stages or any stage with a memory element, put the round count in your movie. If it's 28 rounds and there's a memory stage element to it, then make sure that every visualization gets to number 28. You've got to do this. And I would do it on every single stage, even ones that are not as much of a memory stage type stage. Do it on every stage. That way you get used to it. That way you always do it. And the round count needs to be the only audio in the movie. And here's why. If your visualization, if your movie contains a bunch of technical advice and technical instructions, you'll be thinking about those things as you shoot. If your stage plan maybe goes like this, okay, don't miss the activator, run really fast, move to the corner, okay, set up on this exact nail right here, then you've got 2 targets here, these are quick, close targets, this is predictive shooting, don't need to see much, okay, what's next over here? Well, we're going to do a reload. Well, is it reload here? Is it reload? Okay, well, I think we're going to do a reload, and then we're going to come in on 3 partials here, we're going to call this reactive shooting, we're going to get a better sight picture. That is way too much conscious thought. If you shoot your best when you're not thinking, why would you add a bunch of conscious thoughts in your stage plan? Right? Even people that don't know anything about the mental game know that. I shoot my best when I'm not thinking and I don't care. Then why in the world, if you know that, why in the world would you want to include a bunch of extra stuff to think about? You know this is the exact opposite of how you shoot your best. Number 6, consciously controlling speed. Anytime you consciously control your speed, you will always make the wrong choice. I call this setting the cruise control in the driveway. Okay. When we took little Gracie to the vet yesterday, the average speed was probably about 48 miles an hour. If I set the cruise control at 48 in the driveway, I'm going to be driving way too fast for the driveway, way too fast for the road down the hill, and way too slow on the freeway. But you don't consciously choose a speed before you set off. There's a speed you'd like to go, but ultimately your speed is dictated by the road and by the traffic. It's the same in shooting. Okay, but if you train at the limit of human function and compete at the speed of sight, you'll always be shooting at the right speed. Let's say that one more time. If you train at the limit of human function and you compete at the speed of sight, you'll always shoot at the right speed. Always. And this will require the correct point of focus or the correct focus phrase, meaning subconscious stage plan, you're going to choose your last or only thought to get your number of thoughts as close to zero as possible. If 0 thoughts is ideal, then 1 has got to be the next best thing. It's got to be. And if anybody who's out there is wondering what the secret is, what do I got to do? Well, here's what you got to do. You're going to use dry fire to get stupid fast. You're going to use shot calling to deliver acceptable shots at the speed of sight, and you're going to use mental management to have a rock-solid mental game. Those are the 3 things you need to do. And by the way, I'm an expert in all of those, just so you know. All right, so number 7, using local matches for shooting practice. Well, I'm going to go down to my local match. I'm just going to call that practice. That is dumb. You'll never do enough reps of anything for it to count as practice. And if you disrespect your mental process at local matches, you won't have one for major matches. I used to say this a bunch back in the early days of the show. It isn't that we take major matches too seriously. It's that we don't take local matches seriously enough. So you get used to, I got to make sure I use the right terminology here, disrespecting that mental process at local matches, goofing off, hanging around, not really taking it seriously, and then you go to major matches like, oh, this is for real. This is the big show. I got to make sure I get everything right. I got a lot of riding on this. I've taken time off work. I've spent a lot of money. My wife expects me to have a good result. I got to really get this right. But you haven't practiced it. You haven't practiced your mental process. If you disrespect your process at locals, you will not have one for major matches. You must treat every match and every stage exactly, and I mean exactly the same. And here's why. What most shooters really want is consistency. Well, how in the world are you ever going to get consistency if you're always doing something different? I'm no English whiz. Well, maybe I am. Kind of an English whiz. But it seems to me that consistency is created by doing the same thing the same way every single time. Let me see if I can turn on my Do Not Disturb here. Hopefully that won't show up on the screen. I doubt that it will. Okay, very good. So, consistency is doing the same thing the same way to get the same result. And all you got to do is figure out what the right thing to do is and make sure that you don't ever do anything else. Number 8, reliving mistakes by thinking and talking about them. So if you make a mistake, that is one event. If you talk about the mistake, now that is 2 events. If you continue to think about the mistake, talk about it, describe it to your buddies, every single one of those counts as a reoccurrence of the mistake. So now we've made the mistake, and we've talked about it and thought about it 8 or 9 times. We now have 8 or 9 repetitions of this mistake being a normal thing to do. And then you wonder why it happens again. Well, you made it normal with repetition. Repetition is the only way that things become normal. And if you repeat your mistakes by reliving them, they will become normal. And the repetition of the mistakes causes normality of the mistakes. Instead, think of the immediate solution or correction. If you have a bad shot on a stage and you're not a beginner, I promise it was caused by a poor sight picture. That is the easiest thing in the world to fix between stage 1 and 2. Easiest thing in the world. And it's probably the only thing that you can fix between stage 1 and stage 2. And the good news is it's all you need to fix between stage 1 and stage 2. If you have a mic on your first stage and you know whether it was sight or trigger, you know exactly what to do next. For a beginner shoot, it's more likely to be trigger. For a more advanced shoot, it's more likely to be sight. And this brings us to mistake number 9, telling yourself not to do things. Anytime you tell yourself not to do something, you are picturing the thing that you don't want to do. And the picture usually becomes your immediate future. So always tell yourself what to do as opposed to what not to do. If you sit there and think about don't hit the no shoot, don't hit the no shoot, don't miss the activator, don't miss the activator, don't miss the activator, every time you have that thought, you're producing, and you know I'm right, you're producing a picture of the undesired event. Just like the mistake, repetition of the abnormal idea makes it normal. Instead, tell yourself to center punch the activator. Tell yourself to shoot the partial target in the center of the available target area, or whatever strategy you need to employ to prevent the negative outcome. Think about the proactive strategy, not the undesired result. Number 10, worrying about results. Worrying about results will always cause over-trying or under-trying. And I don't expect you to not care about the results of a competition. And I don't expect you to not think about the results. But you have to understand, over-trying is a great way to come in last in your class. Under-trying is a phenomenal way to come in middle of the pack. If you want to go to nationals and you want to come in the middle of the pack, go and give it about 90%. And if you want to come in last in your class, go out there and over-try. These two things are always caused by a lack of confidence that your normal performance will not produce the desired result. This is not a problem that Christian Seiler has. Christian Seiler knows his normal performance will produce the desired result. He knows it. So he's not prone to over-trying. I just chose him as the quickest example because I know a little bit about his mental game, and he believes when he gets to the match, everybody else is fighting for second place. He believes he's going to win with a normal performance. Now, there are 4 versions of pre-accepting the result that will prevent over-trying or under-trying. And there may be more than 4. These are the 4 simplest ones to understand. Okay? This is how you can think about results to prevent over-trying or under-trying. Number 1, I don't care. This will not be possible at an important competition. It will be possible if you go try a different sport for the first time. Let's say you go to your first Steel Challenge match, you go to your first IDPA match. It's not your normal discipline, not your normal sport. That'll work. Don't care. Well, might work, might not work. But it is one option. If it's sincere, you can't fake this one. Number 2 is a little easier. It is what it is. This is the healthiest way to think about results when you're climbing up the leaderboard. Hey, I'm just going to go find out how good I am. I'm going to the Nationals for the first time. It is what it is. I'm going to find out where I rank. It's very, very healthy. The third is, it's going to be pretty good. And those of you that are in the top 10%, most of the time, you can already do this. It's going to be pretty good. Right now, at a certain point, you'll need to get to the next one. My normal performance will be good enough to win this competition. And those of you that dominate your local matches, this is how you feel when you get in the car. You know you're going to win before you even get there. Right? You're like Jay Slater at every match he goes to, with very, very few exceptions. He knows he's going to win Revolver. The only thing he doesn't know is how many single stack production carry optic shooters he's going to beat. Hell, he probably beat some open shooters, probably beat some PCCs with that wheel gun of his. But pre-accepting the results is the best way to prevent over-trying or under-trying. And if anybody ever tells you, I got to come out about 85% on the first stage, well, that's under-trying, isn't it? And how in the world do you get to 85%? And what if you start on the big point stage? Do you really want to come out at 85% on the big point stage? That sounds like making all these mental mistakes all at the same time. That sounds like choosing a speed. That sounds like under-trying. And that sounds like worrying about results. That sounds like every mistake on these 2 pieces of paper. Pretty close to them. But pre-accepting the results for whatever they're going to be is the best way to prevent over-trying or under-trying. Either you don't care, either it is what it is, either it'll be pretty good, or you'll win. And again, there may be a subtle variation within those four. Those are the four easiest ones to explain. And by the way, you don't got to take my word for it because you know it's true. You know it's true. Every single person in the world, when they tell me about their best shooting, here's what we find. Are you ready for this? 1, 2, 3, shocker. Sorry, 1, 2, 4, shocker. I knew the stage inside and out, and I wasn't worried about the results. That's it. I knew the stage inside and out. There was an element of confidence there. So let's say I knew the stage inside and out. I knew I could execute my stage plan, and I wasn't worried about the results, which means didn't care. It is what it is. It'll be good or I'll win. The best stages I've ever had in my shooting career all had those elements. When I won First Master in Production, 2005, I had just come out of the open match where the results, I worried about the results of that match because I really wanted to be in the top 16. And that caused me to under-try most of the time and then over-try at the very end because I was worried about the results. When I got to the production match, I said, you know what? It is what it is. I'm just going to shoot the gun. The results are what they are. And that's when I won First Master. Because I pre-accepted the results instead of worrying about them. But that's, you guys know that's how you shoot your best. The problem is if we shoot our best when we're not thinking and we don't care, what do we do when we are thinking and we do care? Change what we think about, change what we care about. Okay? Number 11, marginalizing success. Anytime you get what you want, you need to own that. You need to understand how you did it. You need to own it. You want me to comment on your social media post? Here's how to do it. Well, I won the stage, but I didn't deserve it because I had an extra shot. I don't care if you had an extra shot or not. I would say if you had an extra shot, that means your stage one was even better. You won the stage by firing an extra shot than everybody else. Well, I might have won, but nobody good was there. I only won because everybody else was out of town. I didn't deserve this win. I got lucky. These things are not duplicable. If you want to win, you need to understand what is happening when you are winning. You need to duplicate that environment to whatever extent you can. Okay, most of you will win your first competition by accident. You'll go out with some kind of a process. You won't really be worried about the results, and you'll win. You'll win your class, you'll win your division, you'll win a stage, you'll win a match for the first time ever, and you need to know how you did it. And this gets into number 12, not documenting success. What was happening when you got what you wanted? What mental conditions existed? I promise you it was some version of this. First stage win, first match win, first breakthrough, let's call it, in performance. You knew the stage inside and out, and you weren't worried about the results. You had a high level of confidence or a higher than normal level of confidence. And it probably felt pretty slow, right? But if you start keeping track of everything that happens, everything that you are doing when you get what you want, you will get what you want far more often. When you improve the quality of your thoughts and your ability to duplicate them, that will produce consistency. Consistency is created by the quality of your thoughts and your ability to duplicate them. But if you don't keep track of what's happening when you're getting it right, you won't be able to do it. And if you tell yourself you got lucky, you tell yourself nobody good was there, those conditions aren't duplicable. But what's duplicable is what you think about before, during, and after you shoot. Those things are duplicable. And number 13, this is a big one for type A people. And if there's a badge on your uniform, you're probably type A. Or if there ever was a badge on your uniform, or if you've ever worn a uniform of any kind, you're very likely to be a type A personality. If you see perfection or failure, it will always cause you to not feel good enough because you'll never be happy. Well, I may have won a stage, but I made 6 mistakes. Okay. Well, if you won a stage, you were perfect. On that day, on that stage, your performance was perfect. That's why it says 100% after that. That's the way it works. A stage win is perfect in your division. A match win is a perfect performance. And your percentage of the stage winner, your percentage of the match winner is the percent you were perfect. If you came in at 81% at nationals, congratulations, you were 81% perfect. Not 19% failure, you were 81% perfect. That's pretty dang good. That's a great place to be when you're looking for improvement. Hey, I'm 81% of the best shooter in the country. Now let's go to work on the last 19. Let's get to 82% perfect. Let's get to 84% perfect. But your percentage is your percentage of perfection, not your percentage of failure. You got to flip that around. If you see the gap between you and the stage winner as your percentage of failure, you're going to continue to fail. But if you see your percentage of the match winner or the stage winner as your percentage of perfection, hey, I'm getting this 81% right. What do I need to do to get to 82? What do I need to do to get to 83? Number 14 is not really a mental game error, but it's something that you have to understand. Your mental game is always under construction, whether you are in charge of it or not. It's kind of like, being the foreman of a construction project, right? And when the foreman's not there, that work is still happening. Foreman may just not be in control. You've got to take charge of your mental game by controlling your thoughts, controlling what you're thinking about, and controlling the imprints to your self-image as you train and as you compete. Every thought, every idea, everything you believe about your shooting goes into a filing cabinet, and your performance is the sum result of those files. Your job is to control the files so that they're more likely to be of what you want than what you don't want. And no, you can't just sit there and think yourself into being a world champion. Nobody's saying that. What we're saying is if you do the work to get there and you don't submit files that indicate you're doing the work to your self-image, you will not get access to those skills when the timer goes off. It's just as simple as that. Okay, mental management is all about controlling your thoughts and systematically reducing them prior to competition. That's what we teach you to do. Here's the things you need to be thinking about when you're training. Here's the things you need to be thinking about when you walk on a stage. Here's what you need to be thinking about while you're shooting. Here's what you need to be thinking about when you get done. Controlling thoughts, reducing thoughts. Gets pretty close to, I shoot my best when I'm not thinking. If you could guarantee that you'd never think when you shoot, you wouldn't be listening to this program. You'd be doing your own program, telling people not to think. It's okay, people just don't think. Well, it violates one of our rules, doesn't it? Telling people not to think is the same thing as telling them to think. What do you mean, don't think? How do I not think? And you can't stop thinking about something. But you can think about something else. That is something that you can do, and it works exactly the same. Think about it. If something's bothering you at work, something's bothering you at home, and you get involved in something different, you will no longer be thinking about the thing that was bothering you. You didn't stop thinking about it, but you did think about something else, and that creates the exact same thing. They're the same. And it's far, far easier to change what you're thinking about than it is to stop thinking about something. Okay? And again, we will help you learn to control your thoughts and systematically reduce those thoughts prior to competition. That's what mental management is all about. I surely hope you have enjoyed today's program, 13 Mental Mistakes and Their Solutions. And if I can help you in any way, you just let me know, steve@andersonshooting.com. If anybody's listening from the Scholastic Action Shooting Program, the Steve Anderson Shooting Program, the Scholastic Action. If there's anybody listening new to that, please let me know if I can help you with your mental game. Remember, my goal here is to save you years of struggle so that you get what you want far sooner and far more often. So until we meet again, be like me, do what I do, say it with me. 1, 2, 3, nice and loud, get to work.